Welcome to another Neighbours interview here on Channel Flicker Soaps with Maxine Klibingaitis. She is best known for her roles in Prisoner and, of course, Neighbours, where she played Terry Inglis, who shot the dastardly Paul Robinson way back in 1985 now. This was a fun interview. She is the best kind of bonkers. It's one of the hardest interviews I've ever done to try and sort of control the direction of the interview. And I mean that in the best possible way, because she's just such a character that you never know what she's going to say next. We did try to ask the Twitter questions, but again, we just kind of had to roll with the interview after a certain point. So apologies that we didn't get to ask them all or address who asked them. But another fascinating interview, some great tales from the day, a brilliant anecdote about Anne Haddie, which is great, a lot on Stefan Dennis and Peter O'Brien. She's just good fun. I could happily have spoken to her for a long time, and I already want to talk to her again. She's awesome. So again, I was joined by Paul, my Neighbours fact master, who knows everything Neighbours related. So he was on hand to help me out, and yeah, we both had a good time with this one. And she had the best name for a book that she's written ever. It means a lot to Prisoner people, but the delivery of when she told us the book name just absolutely floored me. And there were numerous times in the edit of this that I had to cut bits out just because she was making us laugh so much. Yeah, absolute character, brilliant fun to talk to. Enjoy the interview.
Hello.
Hi, Maxine, how are you?
I am very well, thank you very much. I'm holding my very sweet little rescue dog that I just rescued only 2 weeks ago, and his name's Mr. Fox.
Mr. Fox, what kind of dog?
He's a Jack Russell crossed with a Chihuahua, I think. A Chihuahua.
So you've got me. So I'm Joe. Hi, lovely to meet you. And you have
lovely to meet you too, sweet thing.
Paul in here as well.
Good morning.
Hello, Paul.
So how are you, first of all? You're based in Victoria, aren't you?
Oh, we're stuck. We're stuck like little flies stuck to the ceiling. We are so stuck here in Victoria because of the virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I go out with a bandana. Hey, get this. So I went out with my bandana on my face, and someone said, "Hi, Bobby Mitchell."
That's amazing.
That's ridiculous.
Are you coping all right out there, though, with it? Is it going
Yeah,
as well as you can?
we are fine. We're fine. Everyone's fine and dandy, love. We are just fine and dandy. And, yeah, everyone's looking after one another and all of that jazz. And, yeah, we're good.
Well, I think we're not going to be far behind you. I imagine we're going to have our own lockdown again in the next couple of weeks, the way things are going. So we're going to be looking to you guys as to how to get through it, I think.
Oh, God bless the world. I'm telling you now.
It's a blip. I'm sure we'll be fine in 2021.
Won't that be just a treat? 1 year wasted and lost.
Yeah, very much so. So to Neighbours then, how it must be strange for you to be talking now and to still have people talking about a character you played 35 years on now.
Terry Inglis.
Yeah, good old Terry.
Good old Terry, who started out as a plumber, ended up a murderer.
So how is it for you to still sort of look back at that and to still have people look back fondly on Terry and your portrayal of Terry sort of all these years later?
You know what? I really enjoyed my time on Neighbours. I really, really enjoyed it. Socially, I did. And it was such a great treat to be in the show. I really had a great time. I'd come straight from Prisoner, and everyone was just so lovely and so friendly. And I don't know, it was a time where I came from, where actors from Prisoner were hardened as really theatre actors and very clear with their foresight. And then I went into Neighbours where everyone was just fresh and new to everything, with the exception of a few, but I had a great time. We got the thing that it was the show finished, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And I decided not to go across to Channel 10. My character died anyway in jail, so never mind her.
Or did she? We'll get to that.
Well, yeah, she apparently. Well, I had the first wedding in the show, and I think I had the first suicide.
The only today, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the only suicide to date.
I know. I'm so special.
Speaking, you mentioned Prisoner there, and I'm going to hedge a guess that Paul might have a Prisoner question for you.
I sure do. So obviously massive celebrations with the 40th anniversary, and then from that was obviously the new show that's come out, and just wanted to get your opinion really, because we had a question from Karen from Twitter asking, do you watch the show and what do you think of it?
Oh, hey, Karen. Well, I haven't watched it. I do know that my character is an Indigenous girl. I think she's Ruby Mitchell. I think so. Yeah, but I haven't really watched it. And so I can't comment.
Well, Karen would just like to follow up to say that she thinks that you're still the best, Bobby.
Oh, well, there's only one Bobby.
How do you just sort of the Prisoner experience? Was that good for you to film as well? You've got a lot of fond memories from that.
Oh, Bobby. Oh, my God. Yeah. Working on Prisoner was extraordinary. I really had a great time. You know that when I started the show, I actually didn't know I was auditioning for that show.
Oh, really?
And so, no idea. I had no experience as an actor. I had 5 weeks at the ABC where I walked in and said, do you need any actresses? And they said, yeah, we do. And so they gave me a job. I can't believe it because I thought, this is easy. This is so easy. And then, yeah, seriously. And 5 weeks later, through the when I was doing that show, Home, it was called Home, about foster children. Someone said to me, oh, Grundys, as they were then, and they're now, I don't know, whatever.
Fremantle own them now.
Yeah, thank you. That'll do. Yeah. and so they said, they're looking for an actress who looks 16, who needs to be 18. So I'll be all right. I'll go and do it. And that's what happened with Prisoner. That's how I got the job. I went in, I thought this is easy. No one else was auditioning. I didn't realise they'd auditioned quite a few hundred people. I thought it was just me. Yeah, like a loser. Like, what a moron. So, yeah, and that's what happened. And I got the role of Bobby. That's how it happened.
So literally you kind of just did it sort of on a whim and ended up being in 2 of the most iconic Australian shows that have ever been made. That's quite an accomplishment.
A complete whim. I did not know. My parents didn't even know. My mother got a phone call and it was Grundy's and they said, can Maxine come in tomorrow? And she said, who are you?
That's great. So do you remember much about how the audition for Neighbours came about?
I didn't have an audition, love.
Okay.
They just gave it to me. And I knocked it back 3 times in the 1 week.
So they were very persistent.
Yeah. Well, because of the Prisoner thing.
Yeah,
so
that's great. And did you know a lot about sort of, obviously we're going back quite some way, you might not be able to remember now, but do you remember a lot about what they said Terry was going to be? Was there always sort of an end to Terry?
No, nothing. I just went and got a job. Hey, and Denise Drysdale came into the show, and she was meant to be she thought she was playing a vet and her character name was Yvette. So she got that a little bit mangled.
That's amazing. So looking back to Terry then, you weren't in the show for a huge amount of time, but you were very...
No.
Sort of even today, you're still one of those really memorable characters because of what you were involved in. So obviously you were there with Shane Ramsey as well. Terry was involved in, then of course Paul. Are you aware that people are still talking about Terry to this day, and that sort of your picture was even in the show not so long ago as well?
No, I'm completely unaware. I promise you I am. As I sit here on my little rescue dog's life, I don't know. No.
Well, people still are, and I think I might have just stolen somebody's Twitter question there, actually, Paul. Have I?
Well, yeah. I mean, Brett asked the question about the fact that did you know about Terry and how she was going to end up becoming a murderer? And interestingly, one of my questions was based around that because Terry's ex-husband, Gordon Miller, appeared literally 2 weeks after the show premiered. So I was wondering whether, and I know you've said, Maxine, that you just got the role, but were you cast pretty much towards the beginning? Because the feeling is that the writers had already got a story arc for you.
I don't think they did, because Reg Grundy, no, not Reg Grundy.
Reg Watson?
Reg, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for helping me out.
It's all right.
Hey, no, you're so welcome and you're so sweet. Yeah, he flew down from Sydney to say, look, I'm sorry, the ratings are they're flagging. We've got this storyline for the character, and and I said, I don't care. Because I literally had only signed up for 13 weeks anyway.
So look back at the time on the show, because when we spoke to David a couple of weeks ago as well now, there's a lot of characters and actors from that time that we don't get the opportunity to talk to now. And one of them you share with David, which is Francis Bell.
Tell me, you should have told me you had visitors.
This is Miss Terry Inglis.
Oh, hello. Glad to meet you, Miss Inglis.
Yeah.
Isn't that the name of the bloke?
Yeah.
Maria?
Look, you said hire her if the qualifications are all right.
I said him. Hire him. He can't be a plumber. He's a woman.
I've had 3 years of tech. I've served my apprenticeship and I've got a pocket full of references if you'd like to see them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Look, it's nothing personal. No offence, but... Maria?
As somebody
I
that
know. God bless.
sadly no longer around to talk to. But even though we did touch on it with David, what are your memories of working with Francis?
Oh, Francis Bell was... Oh, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, I think on YouTube I'm allowed 1 or 2 swear words per video. So, yeah, fine.
Oh, he was great. He was such fun. And you know what? When we were in the rehearsal rooms, right, he would just come in and ride his bike. We're trying to work. We're trying to rehearse. We're trying to do stuff. And there'd be Francis Bell just like ding-a-ding-ding on his bike.
Putting the bell in Francis Bell.
Yes, putting the bell in Francis Bell. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And sort of, David said as well, like he was quite unpredictable when he was acting as well, and you'd have to really kind of pay attention.
Completely. Totally. But I was used to it because I'd worked on Prisoner where everyone was like theatre based. And so they were really, they had strength. And he would absolutely, he didn't knock me sideways at all because I already was used to it. But he was just fantastic. I loved him. I love him today.
It's the chemistry between you both was brilliant. Like, you both did such a good job.
He's a terrific man. He's a terrific actor, a terrific person. He was just the nicest human. He was really great and lovely to everybody.
Looking at the other actors that you'd worked with as well, Peter O'Brien is another one you had a lot on your for your early days on the show of working with. Sort of how was that dynamic?
It was complete spunk. He's totally spunky. Like, you can't get out of that one.
And then obviously after that was Stefan Dennis, which is the sort of the main one.
Well, hey, I still speak to Stefan. He's just great. He's brilliant. And, Terry must have been a slut because I think they had one date and then they got married.
It was very good. Paul, you might actually...
She was a slut.
It was only a few weeks, wasn't it?
It was, I think.
Not even. She was right in there.
I think she was scorned by Shane because he had... she believed that he'd gone off with another woman.
Bad luck. Shane's bad luck is all I'll say. And she would have gone all around all of...
Jim Robinson next.
Oh, Jim Robinson. Yeah, she would have done him as well.
So looking back to the sort of the big moment between Terry and Paul, and we'll touch on other things before that soon, but it's the one I'm the most interested
in. The nuptials.
Be faithful to her until death do you part.
I will.
Terry, as an expression of your love for Paul, will you take him to be your lawful wedded husband? Will you support him, serve him, trust him at all times, be faithful to him until death do you part?
Yes, the nuptials. What was it like filming that? And as you said, the first Neighbours wedding. What was that like to film, sort of for you and Stefan?
Well, it was ridiculous because they'd only had one date, and no, so the whole filming of the wedding was at Des's house, I think.
It was in the Robinsons' house.
There you
Well,
go.
she had a pauper. She had a pauper's marriage.
She did.
The poor bitch.
And it's
She had a wedding, and there she ran, like, I think people were frolicking, and I think David Clancy might have been one of those people. Everyone was happy for poor Terry, who ended up trying to kill people.
Yeah, it was a really good twist, I think, for Terry, because she was very likable. She came in, her storyline when she came in instantly had the audience behind her as sort of the female plumber that had to prove herself to Max. And then as time goes on, you kind of learn more and more about her, and it ended up with the shooting.
They did a big Swifty shift, and basically she ended up just shooting people and running around with a gun and with secrets that no one understood. And then, that was how it ended. And then she went to prison, and there you go. And the only person that ever went to see her at a f***ing grave was Anne Hattie's character, Helen.
Oh, Anne Haddie. What was she like to work with?
Well, she was gorgeous. I mean, she said to me when we talked about her time on
Sons and Daughters?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And she said at least you didn't have to fade into sepia on Prisoner. Yeah.
Amazing.
And also, what about played Max's husband, wife rather, Dasha.
Yeah.
Drunk as a skunk.
So when you first started to realise that Terry had a lot of these criminal sort of things behind her, did you know that you were going to become sort of quite villainous from that point on?
No, it was just made fun of it. It was ridiculous. I had to run around, and Red Simons, who's a known performer here as a musician and an actor in Australia, he just chased me with either a knife or a gun. I shouldn't swear. I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't worry. I can edit out.
It was a gun,
Apparently
absolutely.
You will. Apparently you will, because I swear a lot.
Don't worry. It's fine. The amount of times I say in a video and I have to edit it out, it's fine.
No, I'm
away.
so sorry.
That's all right.
I swear like a pig.
I thought it was very clever though. Red Simmons was brought in to play Gordon only 2 weeks into the show, and he was the cause of why Shane's character ended up losing his diving career. And then to bring it full circle, I thought was really clever, the fact that he was your ex-husband and that whole connection.
Well, they made it up.
Yeah.
So they made it up after the event?
Yeah, they made it up. Yeah, you're right, Paul. Though, they made it up, love. And, no, I don't know. Look, for all I know, Terry might come back into Neighbours as a distant cousins or sister, or she might just come back from the dead.
There's a tendency on Neighbours, I'm not sure how familiar you are with it in recent years, but if a character has died but you didn't actually see them die, the general expectation is that they are still alive.
Well, this is what David and I think we might do. We come back to the show, David Clancy and myself, yeah.
Because with Terry, and that's another storyline that happened, I think it was last year now, time's kind of all bleeding into one, but there was a storyline involving all of Paul's ex-wives. And that seemed like it could have been a good chance for Terry to come back. Have you ever been approached in sort of the years since you've left to reprise?
No, but it would have been great had I gone, woo, like some ghost, right? It would have been great. I think she should have just come back and just been some sort of like a little picture in the background there, and got all the other ones back.
Well, she
was dead.
They did show you, so there was a picture
in
of
a
you
photo
in the episode. Yeah, there was a photo of Terry.
In a photo, yeah.
It was used to torment good old Paul. When everybody was trying to. So if they were to ask you back, sort of how would your take on that be now? Are you still sort of interested in doing that, or has enough time gone on now where you're like, no, I think I'm good?
But if they asked me, that'd be hilarious. And I would say, yeah, good on ya.
It would be so fascinating for Paul, because again, another thing you might not know is that the whole character of Paul and the villain, really, that Paul's become a lot of the time, is largely down to your character. So that was the catalyst for Paul becoming who he is, and they've kept that up to this day.
Oh, that sounds so deep. I didn't know.
Yeah, a lot. He's been to prison. He's a murderer himself now. He always cheats on his wives. He hasn't with the latest yet. But that all comes back to Terry.
It's my fault. I love it. I love it. I love it to pieces.
But it's why I always think Terry would be such a good fit to come back, because it would make Paul have to look at everything that's happened, because he burnt down Lassiter's, all of the terrible things that he's done.
But like, I don't know this properly, but wasn't he a pilot or something?
Well, he was. He started off at university studying engineering because he was following Jim, and then
of course he was. Why not?
And then he decided he wanted a career change, so he actually trained to become an air steward. So he wasn't a pilot, but he was a steward.
Oh, he was a steward. Does that mean that he used to go out and say to people that this is what we do if there's an air problem in here, and right? So he was a stewardess.
Yes.
And then straight to a business mogul, like a year or so later.
Yeah, again because of you.
It was actually, wasn't it? Yeah.
He was a stewardess because of me.
Oh no!
My gosh!
He became he's a multi-millionaire mogul businessman, but that was down to him deciding that after Terry, he didn't want a relationship with anybody. He was just focused on business.
Well, there you go. There you go, my friend. And Mr. Stefan now.
He's a lovely guy as well. Like
he's I adore him. I adore him. He was the one that told me to get off the Diet Coke. And that was over 30 years ago. I'm still on the Diet Coke.
What I like about Stefan is he's got a very cheeky sense of humour about him. I've only met him once, and it wasn't for very long, but you can tell that he's a very funny guy, and quite different to Paul as well, which I quite like.
Oh, Stefan is absolutely adorable. He's so fantastic. I love him. I loved him when I worked with him. I love him now. And in fact, Stefan was on the very first day of my very first paid job as an actor. I was 18, and he played a dog keeper for the RSPCA or something like it, or Lord Smith Dogs Home here. And and he had one scene, and who would have known that, like, a very short time later, we were husband and wife in a television show. It was my very first job on a show called Home for the ABC here in Melbourne, and it was a 5-week shoot, and that's when someone told me about the Bobby role, and then I got the Bobby role, and after that I did Neighbours, and he played my husband.
So literally just one thing led to another.
It just kept leaping like a leapfrog.
Oh, you mentioned earlier on that you chose not to go over to Channel 10. Was the option on the table for that one then? Did you choose to leave when you leave, or was that sort of always the end date for Terry?
No, I chose not to go.
So what led to that?
Yeah, no, I chose not. No, because I also I chose to leave Prisoner as well, and they tried to get me to stay, and it's just the fact that the character Bobby was so popular, and I get that, and I got it. I still get it. I realise it, but I was young and everybody else wasn't, and it was just one of those things. just keep moving, just keep changing. And in the end, I guess my favourite character was on Family and Friends when I worked with Annie Phelan yet again. How annoying do you reckon it was for her for me to say, "Hi Annie, how you feeling?" No, totally annoying, totally and thoroughly annoying. Years later, oh no, please, and God bless her and rest in peace, Annie. But yeah, I just wanted to keep moving, and I'm happy I have done that.
Well,
Maxine, do you think if the show had stayed at Channel 7, your decision would have been different?
It could have been, actually. That's a very, very clever question. And yes, I wonder, I might have stayed because it was such a great experience. Neighbours was fun. We had a ball. We just had a ball when you've got Francis bloody Bell driving around on his bike in the rehearsal room when people are rehearsing scenes on the rehearsal days and stuff like that. And Vicky Blanche and just everybody, we just had a ball. We had a great time. Darius, beautiful Darius. Oh my God, I miss him. Really, we had a wonderful time. It was a really good show.
It is interesting. We don't with Darius and Vicky Blanche, of all of these names, every time they're mentioned, it's always positive, which is lovely to hear.
Love them both. Vicky came for a visit here, not so much long ago, and David and I keep in contact all the time. Darius, God bless him, wow.
Yeah, that was a shock.
Yeah.
Shock to hear that he passed. Vicky Blanche as well. I get on very well with the Vicky Blanche's replacement, I guess you could say, the one who played Julie after her. And she also says that Vicky's a lovely person and they've met and stuff. So she's one I'd be very keen to talk to as well, I think, at some point in the future.
Vicky's amazing. She's a really terrific young woman. She really is fantastic. She has a beautiful son. She came here not long ago. We had a nice afternoon together. I really, really have great respect for her. She's a terrific person.
So you've mentioned a couple of people that you still stay in touch with. Is there anybody else from those days that you still speak to, sort of at least semi-regularly?
I don't. I know that Genevieve Lemon's wedding, which was some time ago, who was there? Oh, look, a lot of people from Prisoner and a lot of, I can't think of names now. Who played Daphne?
Elaine Smith.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I believe she's a teacher now. I think she's left acting, which actually brings me to the question, what have you been doing in the years since? Sort of what's
writing
your day now?
Well, I've been doing heaps and heaps of independent films. I won an award, actually, for one, which must have been slim pickings. No, must have been slim pickings. Because
No.
True. Yeah, Moonlight Magic, if you ever look it up.
Adding to my list of things to find.
Oh, yeah. Don't look at the shit one that Tim, who made the film, he redid it, and the original is really good. And I can send the original to you if you'd like.
It'd be fascinating to see it. That'd be great. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. I won at the Melbourne Underground Film Festival.
And what sort of things are you writing now?
Oh, well, I wrote a book called Shut Your Face, You Stupid Bitch.
So what's that about?
Hey, get this, you two. I sold 250 copies of it.
Well, amazing. What's it? That's the best title I've ever heard.
Why don't you just order one?
What's it about? Please sell it to me.
It's about all the background stuff about Neighbours and Prisoner and everything else, and all the photos that I stole, because when I was working as a young'un, and I just kept all the photos of everything that we used to get, like, continuity photos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I got Bobby Day One and La La Ginger, all those things, and I've kept them all. And I've just got a photorama, as I call it, at the back of the book, and the rest of it is just starting from when I started out.
Amazing. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. That's definitely something I'm fascinated to read, because sort of Prisoner and Neighbours behind the scenes.
And you just get yourself a copy.
I shall. I certainly shall. But Paul, do you want to go on with some more of the Twitter questions that
Come
we
on,
have?
Paul. Hurry along, Paul. Go on, Paul.
Well, to be honest, we've pretty much answered all the Twitter ones, but I mean, I would
All right,
like.
so you're bored now?
No, not at all. I've got more. I've got my own
You
questions.
sound bored,
Maxine.
Paul.
Paul
I'm
could
not. I
literally
promise
ask you questions for 3 hours. Like,
7. I'm going 7.
So I'm going to go. Going to take you back to the wedding, and I just wanted to know because, and I know you talked about how cheap it was done, but a lot of actresses who go through their own screen weddings, they actually get a bit of enjoyment out of going out and choosing their own wedding dresses, getting their hair styled, so making the most out of it. Really, was that something that you were given free rein to do?
Absolutely, and I love you, Paul. So what happened was, right, I just got to go out with this beautiful guy, and he was our wardrobe person, and he just took me out, and we just spent the day out. And I think it was a bit of a I think he was a greedy guts. We went for lunch, and I think he was putting that on the whole thing as well. So I got a free lunch. Was falafel, as I recall, and anyway, so we got my beautiful dress, and I could do whatever I wanted, really, quite frankly.
Fantastic.
I think, and so anyway, we just got the dress, and that was it, really. It's a really nice dress.
It's very interesting when you look at Terry's style through the series, because it is quite different to the rest of the cast. In the Terry seems to be dressing a lot more kind of 80s modern cutting edge, whereas a lot of the other characters seem to be sort of suburban jumpers, the usual. So it always looked like Terry was kind of leading the way from a fashion point of view.
So Paul, do you know why? Because Doug Glanville, who worked on Prisoner as hair and makeup stylist, was also on Neighbours and had a big say in that. Wow. And that's why, he was just kind of a friend and a stylist, if you like. Yeah, fantastic. But in the end, I think I looked like a freak because she had huge bows in her hair.
Very 80s.
Well, it was the 80s, yeah. But, so, that was all, look, yes, she was a little bit cutting edge, for the day. Bless it.
So by episode 126, so this is just after Terry's married Paul, you become what we call regular cast. So you feature in the regular cast at the ending credits. But interestingly, you never were added to the opening credits. And I just wondered whether it was a conscious thing because they knew that you weren't gonna be there for a while, or was it just simply a case maybe you knew the show was ending, and so there was no real incentive to change and spend any money doing so?
No, what happened is I actually agreed only to work there for 13 weeks. So that's probably what that was. I didn't even know that was a thing. But, that's probably why. Because I signed up only for 13 weeks, and the show ended up finishing when it did. And so,
just after you left, actually. It was, I think, a couple of episodes, after you went, the show ended.
Yeah.
So obviously thought it couldn't go on without Terry. I want to speak briefly about what it was like to shoot Paul Robinson, because I think many a Neighbours character wishes they could have done that over the years.
Paul, put it down, please. Please, Paul, I love you.
Right.
But you actually got
shoot,
to.
I might go and shoot Stefan tonight because I'm feeling like it.
Just for fun. Just for fun. But what was
Oh,
that like?
something to do.
What was that like between you and Stefan to film that scene? Have you got sort of any sort of distinct memories of that?
I don't know. It was a bit silly, really, quite frankly. Let's be honest. It was ridiculous. And so that she just started, "I love you, Paul," I think she said. And then she shot him.
Yeah. Off screen as well, I think.
Do you want me to do it now? Hang on a second. "I love you, Paul."
Oh, chills. Chills and fear at the same time. And was that your last scene you shot as well?
I don't know.
That's what Neighbours nerds get off on. The trivia is what we obsess over.
Ask away. Ask me how I sat in the... I'll tell you something. I'll tell you the story. Des's mother,
Oh, Eileen.
Myra de Groot.
Yeah.
And so she and I used to sit in the makeup room at lunchtime, and beautiful Myra de Groot, who I'd worked with also on Prisoner as well, and she said to me, "What's your favourite movie?" And I said, "I think it's starting now." And it was Gypsy, your beautiful movie Gypsy. So gorgeous, with Natalie Wood. And just a gorgeous movie. We didn't get to see the whole movie because lunch break was over after a certain time. And the next day in my pigeonhole, there were all sorts of recordings of different versions of Gypsy.
Oh, wow. That's...
And there's Myra, and I've still got that tape. It is a tape, going back to the olden days. But yeah.
Myra de Groot is another one sort of that I just wish I could have been able to speak to at some point, because one of the first real comedy characters. I think she could do comedy so well.
Oh, I worked with her on, like I said, on Prisoner, and then again on Neighbours as Des's mother, and she just she was just so fabulous, and I loved her so much. She was a really good person. I spent many a time at her house. She's just a really great person. Really, really good.
There is one scene in particular that's always my favourite Neighbours scene, and it's of her singing, and it's just pure comedy gold. She was so good.
She's absolute comedy gold. That's it.
Paul, any more questions from you that you've got there?
Yeah, the only one I have.
Come on, Paul. Bring them on, because I'm getting old.
One of the interviews that I read with Kylie Flinker, and she cites you as being, when she was on the show with you very much being a sisterly figure to her, always looking out for her. And I just wondered whether you felt the same, and whether you're still in touch with her.
I'm not in touch with that beautiful girl, but you know what? She was a little sausage. She was a sweetie, and you know what? No one bothered with her. That's the saddest thing ever, right? And so when there was a free space of time, I would take her by the hand, literally, and we'd go for a walk up the street, and we'd go and look at things and find things. And I looked after that little girl because no one cared.
Well, she certainly remembers it.
She was a tiny little thing, and no one ever bothered. And so I used to take her with me for a walk. I could have been, who knows who I was, just dragging someone's child. And she was absolutely delightful, the dearest little sweetheart, a dear little girl, and everyone forgot her but me, because I'm really good.
She really grew into the role as well. Sort of by the time she left, she really was Lucy, and then she came back as a completely different Lucy, but that's another story. But yeah, she got a lot better as she went on.
Oh, look, all I know is I had someone's child. That's all I know. I just found a kid, and I found it, and I dragged the kid around. No, she was a very beautiful little girl, a very sweet little girl, and I'm sure she's a fine young woman now as I am.
Have you gone back and watched any of your Terry scenes in the intervening years?
Are you out of your mind? No.
Because they're easily accessible.
Why would I bother? I didn't even watch myself on Prisoner.
Is that just a conscious choice then that you made to just because I know a lot of actors are like that, they don't like watching themselves back.
When you've lived the moment. Actually, when I was on Prisoner, when I had free hours, I used to go into the boardroom and drink their Ovaltine, and whoever they were, right? And and then I'll watch a few episodes I'd get them from publicity, so they hadn't been aired yet, and have a look. But basically, no, I'd never. Why would you bother?
Yeah, it's a conscious choice. A lot of actors, I know some of them love to watch themselves, and then some really just kind of step away from it. So I always find that fascinating that there's two different sort of approaches to that.
David mentioned when we interviewed him how he was given a script in a binder. Did you get any leaving presents, or did you take away anything from the show as a memento, or any of your shows?
From Neighbours
or Prisoner?
Prisoner, they gave me a huge everything. Everybody came down and clapped and stuff. They didn't want me to leave the show, and I did, and I wanted to. Neighbours was, I think, it was really sad and pathetic. It was really sad and daggy. I think we just clapped and had a couple of chips and dips.
I mean, that sounds very Neighbours.
Yeah.
No, it was. There was someone there that shouldn't have been there. There were people who just were like thinking that. Oh, look, it was bad. It was all shonky and daggy and rubbish.
But to clarify on the earlier question, if they were to ask you back to go and torment Paul Robinson again, you would be very tempted.
I'll go. I'll go. Why not? I think you're both dead in the brain now because you've just exhausted yourselves.
Oh, this has been one of the most fun interviews I've done in ages. And I have to do quite a lot of them for my actual day job as well. So no, this has been great fun.
I could talk to you all night.
To be fair, we probably will come back and ask to talk to you again at another point in the future if you are keen to do so.
Wouldn't that be fun? We could, you know what? You can talk about my obsession with whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Well, listen, thank you so much for taking your time out to talk to us again.
No, it was fun. And I could keep going. If you want more stories, do you want to hear about the lady that threw 3 tomatoes at my head?
Again, yes, please, tell me. I really do.
I was walking down the street and there was this lady and she looked nice, although she did have socks and sandals on. Bit of a worry. So she said, I don't know what you shave. I said, I think you do. No, I'm just saying that your garden looks amazing. Wow, it's so established. Thinking, well, I know that she's lived here a long time with her sandals and socks. And then she was cradling 3 tomatoes down, in the palm of her hand. And I said, oh, I just think it's really nice, everything that you've done here. Beautiful vegetables. Well, wow. And she said, I don't know what you shave. Well, she threw 1 tomato, one into my shopping jeep, which was handy. 1 went onto the pavement, which I retrieved, and 1 went onto my head.
How long ago was that?
A couple of months ago.
Oh, wow. So really recently.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the pressures of 2020.
It's fresh in my memory, fresh in my head.
So there we go, a interview about Neighbours ending with a tomato throwing story. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I would not change a thing. Thank you again to Maxine for joining us. It was an absolute treat. What a way to spend a Saturday morning talking to somebody that fun. More interviews coming as well. So we've got one lined up that I'm really excited about. It's somebody I didn't think we'd ever get to speak to. Certainly somebody I didn't expect to come on. I want to talk about Neighbours, so I'm very, very thrilled that they're joining us, and I will announce that as soon as I can. Thank you for listening to this, and stay tuned for all the regular spoilers that get updated as well. And yeah, hopefully more of these coming forward, because they are great fun. Thanks for listening.